with us. It's almost that time of the year again, marking long queues at retailers and numerous online specials. And the shopping frenzy that is Black Friday will commence on the 24th of November. Consumers have flocked to grab bumper deals in recent years, but that enthusiasm has been somewhat tempered in recent years by shoppers wondering if they're really getting a good deal. So how can you, as a shopper, shop smarter for the things you need this Black Friday? We have consumer debt expert Moeshfika Botha joining us. Moeshfika, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we know that South Africans generally don't have a very strong culture of saving. We're more spenders than what we are savers, and not able to even resist the temptation of Black Friday. Has that frenzy continued? Moeshfika, just please unmute your mic. We can't hear you. So I was just, please unmute your mic. We can't hear you. So the whole question around whether we still shopaholics, even in these trying economic times, is just a habitual culture that we have that is difficult to shake. Moeshfika, I'm going to ask our producers to just signal to you because I don't think you can hear me. You're still muted. So you're going to need to unmute yourself. And
I am unmuted.
There we go. Now we can hear you. All right, let's pick it up from the top.
There we go.
So I was saying that the spending culture is problematic, isn't it?
It is, but you know what? I also understand it, and I don't want to be the Grinch that says don't spend, because we have had a tough year, and there is always the sense of, you know what, I've had a tough year, so I deserve to spoil myself. The problem comes in here is that we need to differentiate between what is really a special on Black Friday and what isn't. So we have to also start identifying and doing some research on what the prices of things are that we have on our wish list, and then act accordingly. But I've got to get this out here as soon as possible. Undoubtedly, every rand saved is a special and it helps. But if you are buying anything at a Black Friday sale and you're not paying cash with it, or cash that is linked to a debit card or to a reward system, then it's not a special. If you're buying a special on your credit card, or you've taken a personal loan for it, believe me, the interest rates wipe out that special. And I think that's something that we have to remember. I often see this where we have things being advertised, was 20,000 for a big screen TV, now 15,000. And somebody goes and takes out a personal loan and they end up paying 25,000 rand for the TV that they thought they were getting for 15.
So yeah, maybe we should also start, Moeshfika, start with the planning, the budgeting as well, so that when those specials, in quote unquote, comes along, you're not necessarily buying on impulse. That's something that you've actually been planning for, and you've got the funds to pay for without going into credit for it.
Absolutely. And there comes in again, budgeting. We have to make the budget and we've got to be able to make a plan. There has to be a plan as to what we want to buy. Avoid adding the impulse buys to your basket. And again, I'd like to also just caution consumers to be vigilant when you are making these buys, to not get overexcited about a special or a deal and then forget to check and verify the credibility of the site that you are on. Please, we know that online scams are up and about, but they are far more intense during this period of time. Take the time to make sure that you are on a legitimate site before you give out any personal, financial and banking details in particular. And also take advantage of good prices on necessities, on good prices on groceries. We do know that South Africans have been really struggling with the increase in the cost of living. And I think we've got to maybe change and shift the mindset a little bit in saying that Black Friday is not necessarily only for luxuries, and look at where we can plan and say, okay, we can save a little bit here, we can cut down, adjust the budget a little bit so that we can buy some necessities that are going on special that can actually help us in the long run.
And how about a bulk buying as a group or maybe extended family? So it's not just you and your nuclear family, you know, you get more rand value out of those purchases.
Absolutely. That is a great idea. We have to start thinking outside of the box. We have to start saying, okay, how do we make this work? How do we make Black Friday work for us? So, you know, we have to start looking at getting your families in and saying, okay, instead of us buying 12 of something, let's buy 6 dozen of something, and let's get more value for our rand, because I think that's what every South African needs right now. It's what every South African wants right now. We want to be getting more value for our rand, but I think like it comes down to anything else. We need to plan, we need to budget, we need to make sure that we set aside an amount and we work backwards from that. You know, if you said, I'm going to be spending X amount on Black Friday, work backwards from that. Do not work and say, oh, okay, this is on special. I think this is a good deal. Let me guess it. There's no rule anywhere that says that we must buy everything that is on special.
And there's also the guilt that often comes with it when you've overspent out of budget, that purchase dissonance, and you don't know what to do with the goods. You now realize you actually didn't need it as much as you thought at the time.
Yes, that's something that I'm always on about. I'm thinking to say to people, you know what? There's a rule for Black Friday. You have to ask yourself, if it was not on special, if it was not on sale for Black Friday, would I really, really need this? Ask it thrice. Take a little bit of time to think about it, because Black Friday is also situated very, very close to the December holidays. And the December holidays are followed by the opening of schools. So I find so many consumers coming to me in January, at the beginning of February, and say, we've overspent, we've bought things we didn't need, and now we don't have money for school fee registrations. Now we don't have money for stationery or for school clothes. So I think it's very important that we plan, we budget, we make sure that all our necessities has been cared for. We make sure that all our debt repayments have been accounted for. We make sure that our necessities have been covered before we go and spend money that we don't have on things we might not even need.
Moeshfika, thank you so much for your time. We're speaking to a customer debt expert, Moeshfika Botha, talking about the temptation and that insatiable desire we have to spend, even when we know we don't necessarily have the funds for it, to say be cautious online on what, if a deal seems too good to be true, it's most likely a scam. So be careful out there.